Let's talk about leaving corporate. So you want to be an entrepreneur and you're terrified about leaving corporate and starting your own thing and going on your own. When is the right time to leave corporate? It's a difficult thing to say because I've got some staff members who've worked with me, and Nanga, who was like 19 when he started working here and worked about 2 years and then went on his own and is rocking his own digital agency. But Nanga's a very specific and unique kind of person. He only reads business and self-development books. He's completely focused on his goal to be a successful entrepreneur. If you are still watching Netflix every single evening and not that driven, and also if you are maybe the kind of person that hasn't yet had an opportunity to learn a single skill, and also number 3, if you're not yet sure what you're passionate about, I would say you're not ready to become an entrepreneur. You have to be really clear on what your passion is or what your skill set is. So I once had an argument with a lady. She was maybe in her 40s, maybe even in her 50s. She wanted to stop being a developer and she wanted to go into something completely unrelated, like let's say becoming a fine artist or something. And I said to her, that's no problem, as long as you're prepared to take this ladder that's really quite high up this one building, move it to another building and start at the very bottom. And if you're okay with not earning any money for a while, then absolutely, if you want to stop being a chartered accountant and you want to become a photographer, no problem, follow your dreams. But if you're not already a very established and successful photographer, you're going to start at the bottom. You're going to not earn any money for a while you build up a portfolio and a client base. It's just a fact. So for me, being a marketer and a digital marketer, my ladder is pretty well established against that building. So if I wanted to go and start now another completely different unrelated career like clothing design, I need to be prepared to have loss of income and literally start at the bottom. So there's a fine balance between doing something that you're passionate about versus doing something that you know how to do well. When I wanted to become an entrepreneur, somebody gave me some really good advice. He said to me, I actually wanted to do something in plastics, and he said to me, do you have any experience in plastics? I said, no. Have you ever imported anything from China? I said, no. Have you ever dealt with retail and wholesale? I said, no. So he said, what do you know? I said, digital marketing. He says, well, maybe you should just stick to that. So I started a digital agency, and I think my learning curve was very steep, even knowing digital marketing, but it was not as steep as if I had to go and start something completely unknown, which I'm not telling you not to do. I'm just telling you be prepared and know that you're going to have a very steep, very expensive learning curve. So the right time for me to start is when you really have this burning desire. If you're like an oddball and you just don't fit into corporate, which I didn't do, I really didn't fit into corporate. I'm not a political person. I don't know how to play the games. I didn't suck up to the right people. So I was just did not fit in. And so I've always known that I'm just not cut out for corporate life. And so once I'd amassed a bit of a skill set and I had a very short runway, I only got like a 1 or 2 month retrenchment package, and so I thought, okay, this is it, I'm doing it. And I had a supportive partner, and I bit the bullet, and now this was established. And I was 38 when I started my business. So that's what I call late onset entrepreneurialism. So, but if I look at the statistics, and I read an article that this whole fantasy about, you have to be in your 20s to start a successful entrepreneurship, they say most of the successful companies that are started these days are started by people who are in their 30s and have got some skills that they've amassed. So, you're never too old to become an entrepreneur. And I think the older you are, the wiser you are, and the more that you know, the more people that you know, because actually it's really about who you know. Because if you know all the CEOs out there, you can then go and sell to those CEOs. If you know all the procurement managers, you can go and sell to those procurement managers. If you know nobody in the industry, like me when I started my company, it's going to be a much slower process to go and establish those contacts and get them to trust you.